I'm at Watches and Wonders 2026, the biggest watch event of the year. We've got new releases galore, some good, some bad, and some completely baffling. I've had hands-on with a ton, I've spoken to a ton of people, and I'm surprised my voice has held up. These are my thoughts on Jaeger LeCoultre, Rolex, Tudor, Patek Philippe, and a whole lot more releases, plus some thoughts on the state of the watch industry as I see it from this fair. So let's dive in. At first, I thought I'd go through each of the notable brands individually, but I just think it's a dull way to do it. It's not in isolation important whether or not I like a watch. You can make up your own mind as to what's a good watch and what's not, so you're smart, do that. Instead, I've organized my thoughts into a couple of themes. And don't worry, I do have something to say about a couple of Rolexes and Tudors, but it's the themes that I think are really interesting. Theme one is disappointment. If I were to sum up this year's impression of releases, I would say disappointing. Key examples are Tudor, who have their 100th birthday celebration thingamabob, and what we get is a Black Bay GMT, some updated 58s, a decent but not necessarily knock it out of the park ceramic model, and whatever the hell a Tudor Monarch is. Somebody called it a discount Tudor Ranger 1908, and the thing is, where's the big block? Where's the Submariner? Where's the exciting piece? And the fact is, the days of that for Tudor are gone. But it's just not there. Rolex, I literally think they were trolling this year. They were sitting in their boardroom high on Alpine Air and tax evasion, and they said to themselves, guys, any ideas on how we can get away with the dumbest thing on the planet and still make money? Do you guys have any ideas? And the people in the room came up with a monstrous dial for an Oyster Perpetual that's going to sell out for sure. Yachtmaster 2 that nobody asked for, and they discontinued the Pepsi GMT. Patek Philippe, they have a Cubitus with a grill. Was this the strategy to get people to stop thinking about the square case? To quote one of my absolute favorite movies, when I want to distract somebody, I just sock them in the jaw and yell, "Pop goes the weasel." I think there are three reasons why things are so disappointing this year. First of all, it's a bad market. When things are bad or slow or just subpar, that's not usually when brands throw out their good stuff. There's no reason to waste a great idea on a lukewarm market. So the brands do sometimes hold back and do the bare minimum. Second, for some brands, especially the established brands, it's just the way it is. Their job is not to come out with a groundbreaking idea every single year. Tudor, with the position they have right now, just don't have to come out with another great line to rival the Black Bay or the Pelagos or the FXD. Half-assed is fine for them. And of course, they're not half-assing it. They're people that have put effort into what came out this year. But everybody kind of knows this is not a big year at the end of the day. 100 years would normally have been a big year. But in this kind of market, no. And where Tudor is today, they don't need to. The last reason I think is a little bit more systemic. I do honestly believe that the industry as a whole is a little bit directionless. Apart from understanding that they have to raise prices, which they are incredibly good at, I don't think there's an industry particularly in touch with consumers. I spoke to a couple of brands who spoke about how their piece unique 30-piece limited edition at mind-boggling prices were sold out. And they get the impression that this is what people want, but it's the 30 pieces that are sold out. But at the same time, they've got half their stock sitting in retail stores and being sold out the back door at half price. I honestly don't think they have an answer, and I don't think they're entirely sure what they're supposed to be doing. Theme 2 is gold. My father liked gold. My father also only hated two kinds of people. He hated people who were intolerant of other people's cultures and the Dutch, but he loved gold. And to me, it felt like gold and precious metals were everywhere. Rolex with two-tone Oyster Perpetuals, full gold Oyster Perpetuals, Vacheron was all gold, Tudor with their black ceramic, which I know is not a gold, but it's not even a precious metal, but it's a specialty material. Tantalum and gold with Zenith. Nomos even had a precious metal gold Tangant for 12,700 euros. And they also had a gold leaf version as well. I mean, 12,000 is not universal Genève 65,000 Swiss francs, but it is still 3 times more expensive than a regular Tangant 38. So in an economy where inflation is high and consumers are distancing themselves from things that feel overpriced, brands are leaning into the precious metal that has increased in valuation to a degree that we haven't seen in decades. 107,100 Swiss francs for a full gold Zenith. Excuse me? baking powder. The main show of Watches and Wonders feels just more and more disconnected from regular people every year. There are other shows around town that speak more to the more affordability oriented customer, but the main event is just in another stratosphere right now. And I still think it's worth dreaming of these high-end watches, but it does really feel disconnected from reality at the moment. I also wrote a note to myself where I wrote down palm reading or tarot cards. And the reason I did is because psychics prey on being able to read people on fairly, simple signs. So you walk into a psychic and they're like, I sense that you are here to gain deep insight. And people are like, what did you, how did you know I'm here to gain deep insight? It's predictable. And of course, Rolex was not going to do something over the top. They don't need to. And of course, JLC finally joined the integrated bracelet game. And yes, the trend that the last mover Rolex jumped on last year, finally JLC jumped onto it with a, to me, slightly underwhelming design. Bremont, they're about action. So is it a huge surprise that they went with black and DLC? I mean, personally, I had actually guessed on more titanium, but DLC and black is basically the same. It's to signal that we are tough and rugged, and that's kind of predictable. Then there was Artemis, a small thing. It's not technically Watches and Wonders, but Breitling released a Artemis Navitimer on the 13th. IWC had a moon or space-themed watch in the Space Venturer. And Bremont launched the Supernova, which will be featured on the Astrolab, which will land on the moon at some point in the future. Personally, I am looking forward to 20, 25 years' time when we have to have watch collabs with missions to Uranus. Sorry. I'm aware that in the US, flyover states is a concept. I have no opinion on the stereotypes regarding that, but I do have an opinion on flyover brands. And brands like Bremont, nobody was there at their booth. They were literally, the dorks sitting on the bench who nobody would dance with at the school sort of prom thing. I know it's a little bit unfair, but it was visibly unvisited. Norcane to some extent as well. There were a couple of other brands. IWC were probably the most pumping, but they also just had loud music and lots of alcohol. I learned a long time ago that you play loud music from the start and you keep the booze flowing and then nobody will notice the food. As for bright spots, there were a few. Alpina released a new Star Timer or Pilot's watch, $1,200. And why am I impressed? Because Pilot's watches tend to go in two directions. Either it's the full-on IWC, Zenith, Patek, luxury Pilot's watches with shiny bracelets, premium cases, and premium dials, or it's low-cost Pilots that do their very best to keep the aesthetic of 90s 45 Pilot's watches. Spartan dials, extremely simple cases. Both these directions are good, but the problem is that the 1945 watches are almost always affordably priced, and the premium styled watches are hardly ever affordably priced. The most affordable of the sort of premium ones at the moment is probably something like the Longines Spirit, and that's still a fair bit more than some people are willing to pay. The Alpina Pilot is $1,200. There's a Le Juperay G100 inside. The case is faceted. It's got polished parts. It's got, it's got brushed components. It's got a beautiful dial. It's got the same kind of lume blocks that you see on the Lumiere, so actual raised lume blocks. It's a textured dial. It's really a cool looking watch and a premium looking watch for that price. Zenith also finally upgraded the bracelet on the Chronomaster Sport, and it's absolutely awesome. Even the sales guy I spoke to was ecstatic. He'd apparently been hounding headquarters for 3 years to get them to build it, and now finally they've got one, and I think it's on par or even better than a Rolex Oyster or Tudor T-Fit. It's just that well put together. On top of that, they did some really cool skeletonized Chronomaster Sports. I've always said it, and I'm going to stand by it. Zenith makes some of the best skeletonized dials of them all, and the Chronomaster Sports is definitely worth a look now. Vacheron have a new movement for the overseas, and that's just super cool by definition. I can't overstate in any way how important and impressive this is, also considering how long the other movement has been in use. They get big props, not that I'll ever be able to afford one, but it's still cool that they did it. The Cartier Roadster is back. I am happy it's back. It's not a watch I personally like that much, but I think it has its place, and it's great that it's, back in the collection. The Parmigiani Chronograph Mystérieuse is freaking awesome. It looks good. It's got that minimalist style that the Rantrapante GMT also has. Parmigiani are just knocking it out of And Seiko, 41mm, 12.9mm thick, 300-meter diver with a decent bracelet, a clasp, plus the UFA movement, which has, check my notes, plus minus 20 seconds per month. Take that, Metas. It's got no tentograph angle nonsense. It's just a good-looking diver. I could probably do without the power reserve, but I still like the watch. The Zin 308 hunting watch, really cool. Just cool to see them at the main exhibition as well. It's just a big upgrade for them. Moser and Z, they had the Pump watch, which is a collab with Reebok. I personally wished I had a pair of Reebok's pumps as a child, but my parents didn't love me, so they forced me to wear Barter Toughies instead. That's why I became the man I am today. Just pure bitterness. But I think that is probably the favorite of my show. The Pump is just super, super cool. So I've got a few more days down here. I'm visiting a factory or two. I've got more meetings, and I'm also going to share my thoughts on Universal Genève, who had a launch on Monday. But until then, I've already started, but Nomos chocolate, is it better than Longines chocolate? Well, we have to find out. Is it worth shilling for? That's really the question we're asking here. Oh, I'll shill for this. Probably already am. Like, subscribe. Cheers.